Hello, week 2 warriors. So, this video is going to cover Western medicine. So, I had insomnia. If you've seen my videos before, you know I've had insomnia and I still kind of struggle with it's an ongoing thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's not like I just fixed it and it's gone. It's like I know how to deal with it now. So, when I have sleep difficulties, I just deal with them so I don't ever end up not sleeping. But sometimes I have sleep difficulties because that's just what it is to have a proclivity towards sleep difficulties. But no longer have nights I don't sleep. So that's amazing. And it's very rare that I even have difficulties. But basically, though, I had insomnia for like 19 years. My mom had insomnia. My grandmother has insomnia. It's like this genetic thing. Kept getting worse throughout my life. It's really horrible. Like there were entire weeks I didn't sleep, months I didn't sleep. Most of my life, I just kept my health kept on deteriorating because I just couldn't sleep. It hurt my sports performance. I couldn't recover. It hurt my relationships. It hurt my ability to perform in school. Hurt my ability to get a job or do anything. I still did a lot of stuff though. I mean, I still wrestled, still did well in school, still went to college, still like had friends and relationships. But it was really horrible, just really, really, really horrible. And like, I went to the doctor, and he was just like, "You want drugs?" And I'm like, "No, I don't want drugs." And he had no idea what to do to help me. And I saw other doctors, talked to other doctors. They had no idea what to do. I read like every single medical study on insomnia, and there's nothing in the whole Western corpus that could help me with this thing. It was driving me crazy, literally killing me, and I couldn't sleep at all. So whenever I wasn't sleeping, I was literally just researching insomnia because, like, what else am I going to do? And like, literally, I would do that every night for like years. Just I couldn't sleep. I'd just be researching insomnia, and reading all these studies. And Western medicine had no idea what to do. Even when I had the candida rash, broke out all over my groin, they gave me cortisone, which made it worse. Probably also hurt my testosterone function because that was before my testosterone function shut off completely, which I may talk about in another video. But it's frustrating. And I just got off the phone with another person who I had a coaching call with, who was telling me his life story, and he's been on a whole bunch of drugs and been on the whole same train I've been on, and it's very common. Insomnia is very common, and Western medicine has no idea how to treat it. Has no idea how to treat like IBS too. There's like irritable bowel syndrome. No idea how to treat this. And really, Western medicine seems to be a complete failure when it comes to anything to do with lifestyle. And when you look at it like that, you're like, wow, why is Western medicine so terrible? But then again, I actually don't think Western medicine is really terrible. I just think Western medicine is really specialized. And what I mean by that is Western medicine is really good at certain things. And like one thing I think that Western medicine is pretty good at is psychiatry. Like I take Adderall, and I do that because I've tried literally everything else. And Adderall is the most stable long-term solution for getting my brain to focus and work long-term. Helps regulate my sleep even. Like I like sleep better on days I take Adderall because it like helps my tells my brain when to wake up, when to go to sleep. Maybe that's dysregulated HPA axis from decades of not really sleeping, and maybe my HPA axis simply just needs stimulants to tell it when to turn on and off at this point. I don't really care because I have good health and like I feel great and like everything's like I've had bad health. I felt that, and I felt like pooping blood and peeing blood and being nauseous constantly and vomiting and like having diarrhea constantly and not being able to digest food, not being able to sleep. I felt that. So now that I don't, like, you know what I mean? So when you feel that, you either know what I mean or you don't, but you feel that and then you feel healthy and you feel strong. You're winning jiu-jitsu tournaments, winning wrestling tournaments, having tons of erections, having like great sustained energy and sleeping. Like you're like, okay, like this is good and this is working. And that's good to know because it's really like challenging to know what to do. But I want to bring this video to Western medicine of what it's good at and why it's good at certain things. So since it's Adderall, hey, great job, Western medicine. I think that's a really good thing you guys are doing there. Like that's pretty cool. Definitely want to learn more about that and like work with a specialist in that regard because that would be really cool because I can't teach myself everything. So I would love to build a relationship with someone who's very specialized in ADHD for that reason. But basically, because I'm not convinced. I think a lot of people are overprescribed ADHD medicine, but I think that it's definitely a thing. And I think that the drugs are definitely therapeutic. And I think that when used therapeutically in conjunction with dietary and lifestyle interventions, like I just got back from like an hour walk and my diet is completely clean and perfect. You watch my videos and my sleep is like as good as it can be. I meditate, I do everything, take vitamins, everything in Ultramind solution and all these books. And I'm still like, so then Adderall comes in and I'm like, wow, this actually does what it says it's going to do. Like my brain really works. I sleep better, even though it's a stimulant. Like that's a really good indication to me. But enough about Adderall because that's tangential. What I want to focus on is how Western medicine originated with like the Civil War, really, like around the time of the Civil War. The certifications that became the medical doctorate of today started to come around, and it was based on medicine for 18 to 24-year-olds because those are the people who were drafted in the Civil War. And 18 to 24-year-olds during that time period all had basically the same bodies, basically the same metabolism. I mean, you'd have like the odd one who had like some genetic deformity, so Western medicine knows about that. It knows about, and you really think about it, like you look at it from this framework, even like the 15-minute appointment. Walk in, okay, how are you doing? Okay. Eating good, sleeping good, exercise, good. Okay, need any drugs? Nope, good, bye. Like that is because they'd have to, they're drafting soldiers, they'd have to talk to you. So the doctor has to talk to you for a short period of time to see if you're healthy. And they just do a really quick, like, look at your gums, heart rate, like, look in your ears, you know what I mean? Like, just all this stuff. Like, okay, healthy enough. Next, look at you. And then the medical treatments, and just the way of looking at medical treatment is very much treating 18 to 24-year-old soldiers. 18 to 24-year-old soldier comes to you. I have anxiety. Of course you do. You're in a battlefield. Take some Xanax. 18, 24-year-old soldier comes to you. I keep falling asleep. Of course you are. You're a soldier. We're working you like crazy. It's obviously it's just take some drugs. Like here's some drugs. Like soldier comes like, I got this injury. Well, of course you did. We're working you like crazy. Some of you are bound to get injured. Let's just put a splint on it and then just put you through PT later. No looking at how you're moving that would have caused the injury. Because of course you're moving well. Everyone who's 18 to 24 during the Civil War was moving properly because they all had to move. They're all on farms and stuff. So they're all moving properly. There's no looking at movement at all because movement was pretty much the same. Even like very little looking at diet because diet was pretty much the same. And this became the predominant view that became Western medicine. So Civil War, like 1869, this kind of consolidates into like a frame of viewing things. 1900s, then we have like World War I, World War II, Korean War, Vietnam, like all these other wars where this framework of Western medicine was just reinforced again and again, of modern medicine, allopathic medicine was just reinforced again and again and again and again, of like even to the point of the doctors and surgeons with the most practice in many cases are military, simply because they're exposed to the most people. They have to have the most people. The laws are often considered the military. I mean, I have to research a lot of this. I don't want to say something wrong, so I'll stop talking because like I don't want to say wrong information. Not my goal. But looking again at the history of Western modern allopathic medicine, we see it really like the lens that it views the world through looked at a world where everyone was physically active. Everyone ate pretty much the same good diet that didn't have seed oils in it. Seed oils were introduced in fast food till the 70s. 70s, people. The 70s. Your parents didn't even grow up in their early childhood eating seed oils. That's why we have like so many kids who have like issues nowadays because they're trying to form their cells out of seed oils and stuff. So Western medicine doesn't look at any of this stuff and largely just look, and it applies this model to everyone. That's why it's so terrible at elderly care too. We're just like, yep, you're getting old and dying. That's not a very useful frame. Like, it really isn't. Like, the frame of, oh, you're just getting old, so take some drugs. Like, we should sit down with elderly people and say, you're gaining fat. This means your metabolism is slowing down. Because your metabolism is slowing down, here are some exercises. Here's an exercise program that'll help your metabolism be active again. Here's a sleep program that you should be on. Here's when you should time your macronutrients with your exercise to increase your metabolism. It works. Like, that's how I lose weight. Like, I've been losing weight by doing that stuff, and I'm losing weight. And people say, "Oh, well, you're young." And it's like, no, like, I am young. My last name's Young. I'll be young forever. But like, I've been sicker than most people I know who are 50. So I just don't buy into like you're young. Like, no, I'm not. The only reason you think that getting sick is normal with age is because of Pottinger's cats. I made a video on that. Check it out. Pottinger's cats. 3 generations of cats. He fed them all garbage, standard American diet. First generation, perfectly fine, pretty much. Second generation, perfectly fine into old age, then develops issues. Third generation, develops issues in early life, and then was basically unable to reproduce a fourth generation. Pottinger's cats. Like, that's how progressive degeneration works. Like, it doesn't start off with, like, so this guy in the sauna too. Here's another great example. Like, he was saying, like, why is it that people who are so health conscious always die early, and people who aren't health conscious at all live until they're like 90? And I'm like, well, it's all selection bias. Like, the only reason I'm even health conscious is because I developed health problems, and then I had to be health conscious because otherwise the health problems come back. So I'm even doing the healthy stuff in some ways. I still have more issues than that dude in the sauna who just drinks and smokes and does whatever. Like, for real, I mean, he's fatter than me. I beat him in a wrestling match and outlift him. I mean, like, my stats are all better. But in some weird way, like, he's healthier because he can continue to abuse his body again and again and again and again, and he doesn't start pooping blood or peeing blood or not sleeping or, like, becoming constantly nauseous and vomiting. So... But anyway, though, then I countered and I said, hey, man, well, the funny thing is, though, you're going to turn 50, your dick's going to stop working, and you're going to, like, have arthritis, not be able to walk, and you're going to call it old age. And he was like, yeah, you're right. That's what happens to my family. I'm like, exactly. So ultimately, everyone's going, and I think he was, like, Mexican or something. So, like, I think he just immigrated here later than me, family-wise. Like, my family's been here for like 100 years, 90 years or so. So he's probably been here for like 60 or 50 or 60. So he just hasn't had as much time to suffer the poisoning. But you can unpoison yourself, though, by just healing. Like, he then fed the cats a good diet and then they healed themselves. So it's not hopeless by any stretch of the imagination. It's just, you have to recognize what's going on. You have to fix it. But anyway, so what Western medicine does well, though, is treat illnesses that would come up for soldiers and military-aged men. And that makes the most sense. Like, Western medicine is really, really good at treating, like, fungal infections. You have skin fungal infections. It's amazing at treating that. If you have, like, bacteria, like, antibiotics are absolutely amazing at wiping out bacterial infections. Western medicine is absolutely amazing at resetting bones. If you happen to break a bone and the rest of your body's healthy, Western medicine is amazing at keeping you alive if you got into a car crash or your, like, parachute didn't deploy and you landed in a field from free fall, or, like, get shot full of bullets. It's like my uncle shot himself in the leg in front of a hospital at one point, and then, like, he was fine. He's a police officer, and he was working with guns for various reasons. It was, like, gun discharge or whatever, but, like, leg shot in the leg, you would have died. But Western hospital, they're just like, we have blood stored. We'll replace your blood. You can't have problems with toxins in your body. You can't get out. We created a dialysis machine. You can't breathe. We create a machine that'll breathe for you. But the problem is when you start trying to rely on those things systematically, that's the issue, because those things were meant as interventions for acutely, not chronically ill military-age men. And that's at least how the framework of viewing things is developed. And there's a lot in Western medicine that isn't that. Don't get me wrong. And a lot of developments taking place. And I've complained about this to family members of mine who are in Western medicine. They're like, we're actually on that and dealing with that in many ways and trying to work on addressing these problems because we're kind of aware that this is becoming an issue. So I'm not saying that Western medicine's like completely hopeless, but it really doesn't address this. And like everyone I talk to and I'm coaching, they always say that they've never had anyone talk about their diet. They've had issues their whole life. Diet's never been addressed. Lifestyle's never been addressed. And it's really a shame, but Western medicine, again, really good at addressing like wounds, really good at like splinting things, really good at like, even like our surgery is amazing. Like LASIK's really, really amazing. What we can do for cataracts now is actually really amazing. Like surgically were really amazing. So a lot of the surgical techniques were developed again in wars. Like most of the neurosurgery data comes from people's heads being blown up or shot in wars, literally. Like the Russian neuroscientist, I think it was Ramachandran. Most of his literature comes from injured Soviets during World War II. And I mean, because it makes sense though. It's like, how do we figure out how the body works without these organs or without this part of the brain? Well, oh, here's a person who had that part of the brain shot. What happened to him? How's he working? It's kind of morbid, but like that's how Western medicine progresses because we don't want to cut up living people for no reason. So we have to find a whole supply of basically control group people who are all the same military age people who are suffering random injuries to random parts of the body in some sense, to figure out how all those random injuries are treated. Because if the group was different, if we really had like a mixed group of people, then we wouldn't know what the variable that we're isolating was. We wouldn't even be able to isolate a variable, so we wouldn't have effective data. So like I saw this one study, it was the protein study for like protein in your kidneys, and they said that we know that excess or high protein consumption is bad for your kidneys because of a conjunction of two completely unrelated studies that were based on like a sample size of like 16 people that were like elderly. It wasn't even like the studies weren't even on that. It was just some conjecture. And this is what I mean. So like you have those studies, and then you have the other studies that come out that are much more valid. And those would be based on large sample sizes of relatively the same people who are suffering relatively. So, you know, it's just the military. Like that's where our biggest data pool for this stuff comes from. So that's what they're best at treating. So I've had weird skin diseases on my genitals from swimming in rivers in Costa Rica. And I went to my pharmacist aunt, who is amazing at knowing what to do with this stuff. I showed her, I was on my thigh too. And I showed her, like, look at my thigh. Like, this is everywhere. What do I do? And she's like, oh, Lotrimin. That's a fungal infection. You can get that at CVS. And like, just immediately worked. And it was amazing. I was just like, holy cow. Like if I didn't have access to this would be worth thousands and thousands. Like there's nothing I wouldn't pay to have my genitals not be eaten up by a fungus. Like, yes, Western medicine, you gotta appreciate it. Like it's really, really good. Like my dad had a heart attack and they brought him to Western Hospital and they restarted his heart. Like that's amazing they can do that. Put a stent in. That's amazing that they can do that. But the fact that he even developed the issue in the first place was because no one has any idea how to structure lifestyle and diet and all this stuff. I gotta wrap up. Tune in tomorrow. Subscribe, like, turn on notifications for more, and I'll keep releasing useful health information for your health, fitness, and high performance pleasure. Until tomorrow at 3 p.m. Done.